Scarcity is so sneaky, it makes you think it's just about money, and it took me 6 years to realize that, but I'm gonna break it down in 10 minutes. Let's talk about 5 hidden ways survival mode is probably showing up in your life without you realizing it. And stick around for number 5 because it's the sneakiest. Hi, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Vikita, and on my channel, I try to help you get everything you want the easier and softer way. If you've done all the doing and you just want things to start landing in your life, you should stick around and subscribe. And if you want a Wednesday midweek pop-in from me, I have a free newsletter called The Life Edit. The link for that is down below. Number 1 is saving nice things for special occasions. I'm talking the perfume, the candles, you have clothes with the tags still on them, you have fine china and nice cutlery sitting in the back of your cabinet, you have fancy skincare that you're saving, waiting for the right time. You're saving all of your perceived nice things for a special day, and if we're being completely honest, that day never really shows up. If you're already in this thinking mode and you're in scarcity where you're saving things for the right time, you're gonna perpetually postpone another nice time. You will always find a reason that the day is just not special enough yet. And what scarcity is telling you here is that nice things have to be earned. And if they haven't been earned or it's not a perfect condition, then you have to wait. You have to save it. You need an occasion or a reason in order to enjoy the good stuff. So start using one nice thing that you're saving. Starting today, that's the little shift, and just tune into the woman who's abundant and has everything that she wants, because if you did, you wouldn't be saving nice things for special occasions. You would realize that the present day is the only day that we have. Realistically, the past, the future, they're non-existent. We only have today. So start romanticizing your life. And this tiny act just tells your brain there's more where that came from. And that is the frequency of abundance, not the money that is in your bank account. You have to embody it. You have to feel rich before you actually are. Number 2, and this one cost me years, and this is the waiting to feel ready. Nobody is going to tell you this because it keeps you in a chronic and constant loop of self-improvement. This whole self-improvement space is a rat race. It is the new rat race. There's constantly something else to chase. Feeling ready is a decision that you make. You don't arrive at this feeling. Nobody gives it to you. You decide that you are ready now, and then you just go and you take action. Scarcity and survival mode love this one because it feels to you that you're being responsible until I have more saved, until the timing is better. I can't right now because I've just got all of these other things that I have to do, and it would be, irresponsible to take my focus and attention off of them. So we'll just push this thing to the side. You know what happens? 10 years later, you're still doing the same thing. Your whole life is being put on pause, waiting for a feeling that never comes and doesn't exist. I think about this with my own story. I packed up my whole apartment that I was living in with my mom. She got remarried. She moved to Zimbabwe. This was in 2023. I was super depressed. I was miserable. My business wasn't working. I had no money to pay rent. I wasn't able to buy groceries. My dad was buying them all. And I was like, something has to change. So I decided, and I'm privileged to say that I had an aunt in South Carolina and I was able to go stay with her. So I packed everything up. In that month and a half, my entire life changed. My first ever video on YouTube went viral, and then I, from that moment, became a full-time content creator, making a full-time income. After that month and a half, I moved back to my dad's in Canada. I stayed with him for 3 months. I got a nudge to go to England, packed up my entire life in Canada, moved to England all on my own. It made zero sense. I did not feel ready at all. I was having panic attacks a week before I was leaving. I was super scared, and I went anyway, and I quantum leaped again in England. And I am a naturally anxious person. I have a type of anxiety called anticipation anxiety. So the anticipation of doing something gives me so much anxiety, and I feel anxiety on a physical level. I start to get really weird physical symptoms that freak me out. I got health anxiety. So the soil for me in my life is never going to be perfect. I knew that. And if I had waited until the soil was perfect and I was like, okay, these symptoms just gotta go away, I would still be in that 2023 timeline, living depressed, miserable, making no money, living an awful life, okay? It was truly awful. The version of me who sits here today and talks to you, confident, calm, relaxed, living my best life, traveling the world, adventure, just all of that good stuff, did it before I felt safe enough to. And that is not a side quest, that is not a side detail, that is quite literally the blueprint of how you quantum leap and become the version of yourself that you daydream of, that you write about, that you want to be. So the shift here is stop waiting until you feel ready. That is fake news. It's a choice that you make right now. So pick one thing that you have been delaying and just get after it. I promise you the readiness and the relief comes afterward. Number 3 is a phrase you probably say 5 times a day without thinking, and that's I don't have time. I said this in another video. It's right here, habits of a relaxed woman and what they do differently. And I will reiterate the point in this video because this is a sneaky scarcity trick and survival mode trick. When you keep saying that you don't have enough time, life and your mind and your body will go to prove that right to you every single time. It's how your brain and subconscious mind work. Your words are instructions. They are telling your brain what to look for and give you more of. So it's going to work for you, and whatever you're telling it to do, it's going to go do and bring you more of that back. Here's the thing though, most of the time, it's not that you don't actually have time. It's that most things or certain things are just not a priority for you right now, and that is totally fair and valid. But a thing that will help you greatly, and I encourage you to start saying this, instead of being the victim where you say, I don't have time, I just can't do it, I'm so busy, say something like, it's just not a priority for me right now. That puts you back in charge. It puts you in the driver's seat. Saying you don't have time makes you a slave of your schedule and your calendar. So that's the shift. Swap I don't have time, I'm too busy for this just isn't a priority. And if you're being honest with yourself when you do this, some of the things you come up with that you have been saying you don't have time for are lies. You will be like, okay, wait, is that a lie? Do I not actually have time? Or is this just me pretending that I'm busy because I don't want to do it, or I'm putting it off or something? That is scarcity in a nutshell. Before we get into point number 4, I want to talk about something I have been genuinely loving lately, and that's whisper flow. It perfectly ties into the third point we just talked about, which is I don't have time. Whisper flow is a voice to text tool. You just talk, and whatever you say, it turns into a clean and formatted text that is just ready to send. No cleanups, no edits. You can use it on any app and any device. You know that survival mode feeling of like every text and every email piling on top of each other, and then you have this undercurrent of everything feeling like a little bit of an emergency to respond to. That used to be me. I would let stuff sit for days, sometimes weeks, if I'm being truthful here, because typing just felt like way too much. Like I'm telling you, I don't know how to explain that feeling of typing just feeling like a daunting task. Then I switched to whisper flow, and talking is just way faster than typing. Even if you're a fast typer, I mean, I am, but just watch like how this would have taken me like 3 minutes to thumb type. I would have been stressing, I would have been putting it off, and now it's done in 30 seconds, and it cleaned up my ums, it formatted the whole email, it dropped it into a little list, and had a nice structure to it. It even spelled her name right the first time. I never even taught it anything. And this is the part that I actually really love. So part of my little creative process is meditating to brainstorm and getting downloads and insights that come from my higher self. And I have found that, when a genius idea just drops in, I would just text it to myself, but then I would either lose my flow or my typing couldn't keep up with how fast my brain was going. So I would just lose half of it, and it was just a mess. I would have to sift through everything. Now I just talk it out loud. It keeps up with me. It gets the exact thing out of my head like 10 times faster. I'm also a huge voice memo person. This has just replaced that entirely. And before you say anything, I know what you're thinking. The voice dictation, the voice thing on my phone is trash, and I agree. I thought that too, but it's really not the same thing. This is the same exact sentence said into the built-in one versus whisper flow. The built-in one, as you can see, it butchers it. Whisper flow just cleans it all up, and it's not even a close comparison. So if your I don't have time is just, I don't want to type it all out, I got you. The link in my description box and the code on the screen will get you 1 month free of Whisperflow Pro. So get talking instead of typing. Typing is so last year. Thank you, Whisperflow, for sponsoring this video. Number 4 is one of the sneakiest. Number 5 is the sneakiest, but this one is a close second, and that is saying, I'll make do. These are some of the most damaging words, and I am not saying that dramatically or lightly. This is settling for a life that is smaller than you feel inside. Buying the cheaper version because you'll splurge later, and this will just do for now. Accepting the thing that's almost right, not quite what you wanted, but it'll work for now. It'll do for now. There's a lot happening internally when this is your baseline, when everything is, I'll make do. 1, you don't think you're gonna get the thing that you actually want. You're not quite sure that that thing even exists or it's gonna be true for you. So you just are like, well, I have this. It's almost what I want. I'll just go for it. It'll do. I'll make it work. And the second reason is you're back in number 2, where you're stuck in the waiting loop. You think you have more time. You think that it'll happen someday. You'll just accept it for right now. And then again, 10, 20 years pass. There will be a time where you look around and you will realize that you have settled and you have wasted your life settling. And then a new problem arises of, well, now I don't have time to make a change. And you turn around and you realize you're in the settled apartment, you're with the settled guy, you're in the settled relationship, you're at an average settled job, and inside you feel bigger and grander and just larger than life, but your reality isn't reflecting that. And what happens is when we accept things that we think we will upgrade later, we never actually do, because we are a product of our environment. And so everything looks good on paper, it looks fine, nothing's actually really on fire. And so there's no sense of urgency to make a change. And you can go on like this for 20, 30 years. How many women have I seen around me on the internet who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s looking around being like, I settled for a mediocre life because I didn't think I could have better. And now they're completely pivoting and redesigning their whole lives. And when you say, I will make do, I will do it later, I'll upgrade later, this will do for now, you're taking a vote against your own standards internally. And now I'm not telling you that you need to go be spending reckless amounts of money that you don't actually have. That's not it at all. The point that I'm trying to make is the energy that's underneath all of these things. The version of you, the woman that is living her dream life, is not making do. She is asking for what she actually wants, and she's only accepting that. She's not settling for the smaller version and then saying that she's just being realistic. That's another big thing. Everyone wants to be so realistic these days. No, realistic is out. Just like typing is so last year, being realistic is so last year. The way to hack your reality, and I encourage you to do this, is ask first, figure out the how later. Getting your energy into a coherent place where you know what you want and you are not going to accept the lesser version of it, the almost version. This is fine for now. That becomes your personality. Settling ends up becoming your personality. The shift here is super simple. The next time you catch yourself about to make do, pause and ask yourself, what do I actually want here? You don't actually have to be able to afford it right now. You might not be able to get it right now, but you just have to stop pretending like you don't want it. Stop pushing it away. Stop trying to shrink your desire because you're being realistic. Keep it full size, name the thing that you actually want, and just let the how figure itself out. Number 5, and arguably the most sneakiest one, is hoarding. This is the one nobody catches. I am a victim of hoarding. I'm gonna put my hand up and say that I still try to get out of this mindset. This one tends to be the root of all the other ones. Now there's 2 different piles here. We'll talk about both. The first one is actually holding on to things like in your environment, physical things, the typical sense of what we know to be hoarding. Not really a cluttered house, just keeping things that you might use in the future, okay? I'm a victim of that one. The second version, which is the most important one that nobody realizes they're doing, is hoarding energetically. Holding tight to what you have because you don't think or trust or believe that more is coming. Now, the obvious ways this shows up is like the physical things, keeping gift cards for the right moment, the right product, because you don't know if you're gonna get another gift card and you have to spend it perfectly. Having things that you haven't used in years, but you don't want to give them away because what if you might use it down the line? That was a big one for me. It's this grip on everything that you've got, holding it so tightly you cannot let it go. But what you do when you hold on to these physical things is energetically, you're sending out this signal and this broadcast of, this is all I'll ever have, this is all I'll ever get, so I can't let go of it, because what if it never comes back to me? If I let go of that shirt, what if it never comes back? What if I never get another shirt again? And I know how dramatic and exaggerated that example is. It's not that deep. It can be, but most of the time it's not. I'm just trying to paint a picture that it's you telling yourself that this is how much is available to me. This is all I believe is available to me. Scarcity is quite literally thinking that you're in famine mode. You are never gonna eat again, so you eat like crazy if someone takes you out for dinner. You're never gonna do this, you're never gonna do that, so I gotta take advantage of everything and squeeze the life out of something because I don't know if I'm gonna get it back. This is the sneakiest because it's both physical and energetic, and as well, it makes you think that you're being frugal, you're being responsible, you're just savoring things, preparing for the worst, and all of those things, they can be intentional, but they can also be coming from fear and a very scared energy. Only you will know which one is true for you. You can be responsible, you can be frugal, and you could be preparing yourself for what I don't know, but whatever, okay? You could be preparing yourself, but the energy underneath is very intentional. It's not fear-based, but then you could be doing those same things and it's very fear-based and it's very scared energy. The shift here is stupid simple. It's to use a gift card that you've been saving, give away something, maybe go donate, let something go energetically that you've been gripping onto, because this also shows up in what we hold onto in our life, relationships, connections, jobs, energetically hoarding the things that we have, because if I never find someone again, if I never get a friend again, if I never get another job again, I just gotta hold on to this thing. And I encourage you to do this to give yourself the message that more is coming. It will always come. Where it came from, there is more of that. You know that saying, there's more of that where that came from. If it came once, it will come again. Because the way that you treat what you already have is the exact frequency of what you're going to receive. So if you treat everything you have as do or die and you have to hold it so tightly, you're stopping the flow of the natural law of giving and receiving, where you give, you get, you receive. That flow starts to die and the circulation just stops flowing in your life when all you do is just hoard onto everything. So open up your fist, give a little, get a little, you know, let the flow just happen in your life, and make sure that the things that you already have in your life, you're treating them as if they're gonna come back. They're not specialty novelty items. They will come back to you if you just open up your energy to them. And the ultimate truth behind all of this, and remember this, is you are the creator. In doing all 5 of these seemingly normal habits, you're in the energy of the responder. You're just sort of responding to what life gives you. You're not creating anything, you're not deciding anything, you're just letting life happen. And when you live like that, you don't actually get the life you want. You just accept the life that you've been given. And that is not a way to live this one life. And so I encourage you to go through all 5 again, pick the shift that is going to be the smallest for you to execute, and execute it today, this week. Give yourself that goal and challenge, and come back to this video and then do all the rest of the other ones. If you want to learn more about the subconscious mind and how it actually works and where all of these sneaky patterns live, I highly recommend watching this video next. It's a full breakdown. I will love you and leave you with that video. And I will see you over there, and if I don't, I will see you in my next one.